Hi, and welcome to Blank Bodies, a Vampire the Masquerade horror and tabletop podcast. I'm your host, Hunter, and today I've got the Lorebot,
James.
and we're actually doing something very special today. We have Brian Colin from Vast Grimm here to talk to us about his system today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate you letting me be a part of the show.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. It's a really cool game. I know James was super excited about it when the first, I was gonna say Kickstarter, but the first,
Oh yeah.
when the first book rolled out, and he was talking to me about it. It seems like a really cool book. So,
Yeah. Full disclosure, I have backed the heck out of this. So let's be real. Let's be honest about who we
Well, thank
are.
you. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
yeah. So, your game, as I said, is Vast Grimm. It's a sci-fi horror game. You want to tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure, absolutely. So it's very rules light, so it's super easy to get into. Character generation is extremely fast, but the setting itself, it's built off the Mork Borg engine, but you don't need Mork Borg to be able to play. But it has similar themes. Instead of a dying world, this is a dying universe. It's been like 663 years since the six, who were like religious zealots, went to this fabled mausoleum of They each had a magical tribute with them, and when they used their magics together to unlock the doors, and when the doors opened, a giant gust of wind hit them, and they all became infected with a different parasite. And then they traveled around the universe, and as the parasites grew inside of them, they developed into worms. These worms then grew and infected other people, and now there's these six different worms all throughout the universe, some as big as like planet eating, some that just take over the human body and turn those people into what's known as the Grimm. And people are trying to fight back against the Grimm and the worms. Some people are just trying to survive, and other people believe that some scientists somewhere are making this fabled gate of infinite stars. And they're trying to find the pieces to that to try and get the hell out of this universe and into somewhere different.
Awesome. I love that setup. So the players kind of take the role of crew members on these ships, and what are their main goals in like an adventure usually?
Sure. So a lot of people go into it thinking it's going to be a one shot, because we've really pitched this as like it's very brutal, very like end of times. Just like in Mork Borg, at the beginning of every day, you roll to see if a prophecy has occurred. In our game, that's called a torment, and if seven torments occur, then the universe is over. Like the Grimm have won. It may not happen where you are, but somewhere in the universe it's occurred. So in old times, in the military, groups of people would be known as legions, and now a legion is just any group of people that are trying to band together to survive. Some people are trying to go and salvage things, find things to buy and sell. Some are just trying to not be found by the Grimm. Some adventures, people are trying to find pieces to this gate of infinite stars. So it just kind of depends. It's a very open-ended system. The setting itself, it's when Ross Brandt and I wrote the core book, we wanted to give enough pieces to allow everybody's gaming table experience to be different. And also with our own third-party license, allow anybody else to make content for it and expand upon it. So we wanted to get the book out so people could start playing, and make it just enough that everybody can add their own spin to it.
You wanted to focus on accessibility and playability.
Absolutely. Yep.
Makes sense.
And you mentioned that these legions are made of people, but they're not all humans. One of the things I saw that I really liked were the emo bots.
Yes, absolutely. And emo bots, they just have all the feelings, and they want to usually are kind of envious of the humans, but unlike their human counterparts, they cannot be infected by the worms or the Grimm.
I'm just hearing robot supremacy, just saying.
There's 8 different classes. There's 6 of them. Pretty much everybody plays somebody terrible. No matter what you roll up, there's some you're pretty despicable at the end of the day. Nobody's really good. A lot of times you'll start out and you'll have very, very few hit points. It's easy. Like if you're playing campaign mode style, it's easy to level up and start to get a little stronger. The mechanics for armor make it so that it soaks a lot of damage a lot of times. But one of my favorite things is the chance of getting infected by the worms. say you come in contact with a creature, there's most creatures have a chance that they've been infected by the Grimm parasite, and you roll a number and say this monster has a 1 on a d6, a 1 in 2 chance of you being infected, especially if you're not wearing some sort of space helmet or something like that. And you roll, and then if you become infected, you have to make toughness tests each day to see how the worm interacts with your body, whether it gives you a parasitic pain or whether it's working with your body and gives you a parasitic pleasure. And there's a chance that it can leave your body and, just your body's not good for it. Or there's also a chance that it completely takes over and that character has to be given over to the GM and you've got to generate a new one real quick.
Oh, that's fun. So infection could be deadly. It could be kind of a great thing, actually. It could just kind of go away, or it could be end of your character. I like that. There's a lot. It goes in a lot of directions.
Yeah, I like the fact that it's much like vampire, and the fact that it's like most of you are probably not good, and it's the fact that you overcome that and try and do good things or revel in the badness, whatever you guys feel like. I mean, it's better to start at a lower point and go high than already be shining examples of heroes and then just become better heroes. I mean, better game.
Absolutely.
Well,
like
better
that.
Storytelling, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're a cheating, stealing asshole, at the end of the day, you probably still want to survive. So
yeah, you probably like puppies.
Yeah, unless they're infected.
Yeah, well, bingo.
You mentioned there were 8 different classes. I know there one that I really liked was it was like the bioscientist.
Yeah.
And one of the main things that's different about them, they start with like an inoculation gun, and every day they roll for different concoctions that they make that can either affect themselves, other members of their legion, or people they might be adversaries in the adventure that they play in.
Yeah.
And that's something I see as third-party content starts to become available, because there's a handful of people that have started writing adventures and things like that. I totally see that being something that's an easy one to build on, like the Twisted Biochemist additional concoctions, lists, and tables that people would generate on their own to come up with other weird, goofy stuff to make it even more gonzo than it is.
Yeah, I'm going, Hunter.
I would say that's really cool. You mentioned that people are starting to make third-party stuff. Is there a specific location that can be found? Like, is that on Itch or a lot of it, or?
So currently, everything that has been put out, we've put on the Vast Grimm site under the third-party, the Horde section.
Cool.
At least for now. Ex Libris, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they did the Mork Borg one. They've done Cyborg. They're doing a Mouse Ritter one. And they're doing one for Vast Grimm, but it hasn't been pushed live yet because there hasn't been a ton of third-party content yet. But as it gets bigger, that's already in the works, and that'll be a way to catalog everything that anybody creates.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like fan made stuff for Mork Borg. I've seen a few classes that I'm like, you could just put that in Vast Grimm and it'd work perfectly fine. It would work. Yeah, there's just a few of them that I'm like, no, that one just looks like it would work here.
And the same thing, you can take Vast Grimm and put it into Mork Borg. I mean, the blasters and things like that might be a little odd, but why wouldn't the planet where Mork Borg is be a planet somewhere in the universe?
Yeah, I think that happened in, I think it was one of the first D&D 2e editions where a spaceship crashes on the planet and they're like, oh, this is a weird dungeon. Then you get inside and you're like, why is there a laser gun in here?
Yes.
So why not? That could even be a fun Mork Borg adventure. You get off the planet and you find out things might be worse out there.
The world's ending. Joke's on you, motherfucker. Everything's ending.
It's all going down.
Yeah. The planet's just a start.
Yeah. So going into creating Vast Grimm, what were some of your inspirations? I mean, obviously, like Mork Borg, it's based on that system, but
right. So that was the big one. So my friend Ross, who co-wrote it and he co-designed it, he ran a Mork Borg game for me and my Atlanta friends, and like right afterwards, I did one of the creatures that's in the book. I sculpted the Warhound, which up until that point, I'd mainly been doing like fantasy creatures that were brighter colors, a little more whimsical. And this one had big, nasty teeth and all these weird eyes and things. And when I did that, I was like, hey, Ross, you want to make a sci-fi game based on Mork Borg? And so that's where it all started. But, there's definitely inspiration from everything, especially like I think of things like weird, cheesy B-ish movie sci-fi stuff like Slither to One of our adventures is called "I Want Your Skulls," which is a Misfits song. Like, there's all sorts of like little nods to all the things that I grew up on and things that I would have enjoyed as a middle or high schooler.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's awesome. I also grew up listening to a lot of punk rock music and stuff. I could definitely caught some of that in the names and the especially the art. The art is really cool. It goes along with the Mork Borg vibe, but I feel like it definitely stands out on its own.
Yeah,
Well, thank you.
I also vastly enjoy a good cheesy or good sci-fi horror movie. They're always a great bit. I love when I find one that I haven't seen before.
Fantastic. Yeah, though we've one of over the holidays, my daughter is about to turn 9, and her current favorite movie is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So you may see some references to that in one of the books in the upcoming Kickstarter.
Yes. Oh, so
It may be a faction of space raiders or space pirates, essentially.
That's I am here for that, and I am so glad.
I'm excited. Did you see the Killer Clowns game they've got coming out soon?
Yes, my son is like following the updates regularly and like keeps letting me know about everything that's been going on with it.
Yes, always good to hear. Also, funny enough, fun fact: Christopher Titus's first movie.
Nice, excellent.
Really?
Yeah, he was the drunken teen with the glasses that told the cops to screw off, and then immediately was dead 10 minutes later.
Yep.
He's there for 2 seconds, and it's like, wait, I know that comedian.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Yep, sometimes.
So, with the core out, you now have a new Kickstarter coming out with 3 new books to add to the game.
Yes. While the last one was going, I was already busy at work, starting to expand things because we wanted the core book to go ahead and get out. And then at the time that we did the core book, I was scared of doing spaceship rules, right? Because going online and seeing people that are super into like space combat and all that stuff, there are some people that get really, really specific about stuff. But then I realized Vast Grimm is rules light, and we shouldn't try and make the space combat and things like that like any other game. We should make it like the rest of it. And so it's super rules light. It's super easy to generate a starship. Like say a GM wants to have you find a starship. It's just like character creation. You roll I've added stats for the ships like maneuver and accuracy and power and things like that. And there's 6 classes of ships. So if you wanted to just randomly generate a ship, you'd roll a d6 to find out what class it's in, then roll which of the ships it is, and it's just like building a character. So it's really fast, it's fun, it has the same flavor as the characters, so all the ships are weird and wacky and strange. And the combat is just as easy. And I modeled that off of after playing Pirate Borg that Luke or Limithron made. Playing that, it was like after I played that, I was like, wow, I really could do combat because it would be similar to this. There'd be some differences, but it would all make sense and all kind of fit into the whole Mork Borg family anyway.
Yeah, I like that philosophy, keeping it simple. And if people want to add expanded rules, that there's room for that too. If someone wants to add like, oh, but you got to keep track of oxygen or whatever, these like more detailed stuff, they can add that on top of it instead of trying to make it a huge mess of rules.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's actually what I was looking forward to when you sent me the press check. I was like, oh, they're doing a ship supplement? Because that seemed to be like the first natural progression for Vast Grimm. Because it's like, yeah, you're going to die. The whole crew can die. The ship can just be the thing that keeps everybody together. Everybody loves the ship. Everybody wants to be... I shouldn't say everybody wants to be. Everybody wants to play a Han Solo Chewie-esque type in a space game. I know majority of people want that. They're just like, I want to have the ship. I want to be a space pilot. This sounds amazing. Let's do this.
Totally. I mean, I've been in the Millennium Falcon at Disney, and it feels right.
So I've done it in many sci-fi games. They're great.
So I was looking into, like we said, there's 3 books. The spaceship rules book. Look, it also comes with a bunch of new like locations, planets, that sort of thing.
So they're more flavor locations. There are One's kind of like a gas and sip type place. One's more of like a repair area or like a junkyard. So it's got some NPC. It's got flavor on if you need certain parts for your ship, or if you need to recharge your power core, that sort of thing. And those are just a few page spreads for each of those. The majority of that book, because each of these books is only going to be 48 pages, the majority of it is the ship classes and then the rules for combat. The other two books, one I mentioned earlier, the Space Clowns, it's all Space Raiders. So it's new classes, some subclasses based on if you're in one of the factions. And then there's an adventure in there as well that deals with it also has a chart to determine what areas of the universe, what regions different factions currently control in your game.
Nice.
And then the third book is Blood Altered, which is multiple adventures set on K2116B, which is where the Mausoleum of Thea is. Earlier at the very beginning, when I was talking about the 6 opening the mausoleum, that's there. So there's a bunch of like people that worship the worms and want the end of times. This is where they go to pilgrimage and end up dying. So there's adventures set around here, along with additional weird subclasses that are more of the evil subclasses, and some additional creatures, and just lots of fun, weird stuff to get into.
Nice.
That's awesome. So it sounds like you could actually play as one of these people who wants to pilgrimage to the altar if you wanted.
Yes, and I've ran games where I've ran a kids game because, my kids are I let my kids, they're all into weird stuff. I had my kids and some of their friends and their dad over, and nobody knew. It was the first time their kids had played it. My kids had played like early on, but the dad was one of the devout, which is somebody that worships the worms and the end of times. And they didn't know that's what he was. And they played in this adventure. And at the end of the game, he ended up luring all of them in, and everybody got sacrificed except him.
Nice. It's like the joy of playing an android in the Alien game.
Yes.
That's really fun. I also saw that the Space Raiders book comes with an actual hex crawl adventure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always.
And that's it's fun. Like I figured out a way to it's set in a place called the Graveyard, which is one of the factions that a group of Space Raiders controls, and it's a way to randomly generate this area of space with derelict vessels. So you can make it as long or as short of an adventure as you wanted, because now you have the means to go in and explore these ships, but somewhere in the needle in the haystack is like the main goal of the overall storyline.
Nice. Because hex crawls are fun, especially in these grinder games like this. That's pretty much what a lot of people love to play. Just be like, let's just make like 7 characters and go.
Yep.
Oh yeah, especially with spaceships. I would love to. All right, so we're going to build a spaceship, and then we're just going to go out into space and see what happens.
Exactly. Lots of randomness. As much randomness. Like when I run games, if I can be just as surprised as the players, it just makes it so much more fun for me, and trying to hopefully getting other people to enjoy that style of running games as well.
Yeah.
And I was looking, it's really, really neat. I love the patches you guys are doing with the Kickstarter. Those are really cool.
Yes. Thank you. I love the patch concept, and the idea that we'll try and we released a couple last year. Like we had the convention exclusive patch, and there's one for the Explorers Legion, which is kind of like my Patreon program, but it's just on the Vast Grimm site. So, but yeah, the idea that we'll keep putting out patches for each of the books that come out, and maybe have ones for people that run games at conventions and things like that, to try and get more people involved in the community. We have one of the patches that's on there that's not part of the actual Kickstarter, but it's on there already, is a game jam patch, so that when we launch a game jam this year, people that actually participate and create X number of pages, they'll get a game jam patch for being part of the community.
Nice. I do like the little headers you've got. I like I feel like that might have had a little design flaw of not design flaw, design pro is that definitely helped those of us with a little ADHD in us just be like, ooh, we can organize them and keep them straight.
Yes. Yeah. The idea that yeah, exactly. I mean, trying to keep it, because otherwise, especially I have so many ideas for so many patches, it would just be utter chaos.
Yep, just
Right.
all over the place. Like that's when I saw the press junket you sent us, I literally showed my partner that like immediately. I was like, honey, look at this.
Awesome.
That seems like a great idea. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you haven't checked out Vast Grimm yet and are interested in the Kickstarter, it looks like there's also an add-on for the core book and the GM screen, so you can still get your hands on the original book if you don't have that yet as well.
Yes. We know that we're coming to a platform where a lot of people haven't seen us yet. Like even within the Mork Borg community, there's a lot of people that don't know Vast Grimm exists. So trying to make it as accessible and easy as possible for people to dive in.
So I've been in my free time working on designing a game of my own, and it you come to hurdles and stuff. One question I was curious is like, what do you think's been the biggest hurdle trying to get designed as you're working for the game?
That's a very good question. I think at first it was really the space combat, only because for me it's all about believing in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you can do anything, and not having the confidence at first to do that. I mean, there's so many resources out there. There's so many great games that have been made. Looking what other people have done, pulling bits and pieces of ideas and putting them together. And part of it's also just sitting down and making a schedule for yourself to make it happen. Like I get up at 5:30 every morning because I know there's so many things I want to make. So making sure you give yourself the time to do it. And especially I personally like it in the morning because there's not a lot of other noise at that time. Emails aren't coming through. You ignore that stuff, try and ignore the social media stuff and just focus on creating something for yourself before anything else. You're starting your day off great.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I actually had to, over the last year or so, I've been slowly deleting all my personal social media just because I found like I'd look at one thing and then 20 minutes later, it's like, I don't even know how I got on this page, but
right.
I did kind of have to drag you kicking and screaming into Twitter.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
But
to be like, it's a good business decision, trust me.
I still don't really use it, but I understand.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say I really liked what you said about just having the confidence to do it. I think that's one of the big things I had to come to is telling myself like, listen, everything doesn't have to be perfect at first. You can write things down and then try them out later and then go, oh wait, that was all bullshit, and then redo it.
Absolutely. And I think one of the other things that people get hung up on a lot is revising and revising and revising. Anyone can revise forever. Sometimes you just have to get it out there.
Yeah.
And then keep moving. Because once you start getting that momentum of putting something out, then putting the next thing out, and one foot in front of the other, then you get your stride. And I find that a lot of people just get stuck in their own head with how perfect it has to be before it goes out. But especially as small indie publishers, make it as awesome as you can. Get an editor, because you should never edit your own stuff. But then put it out. You can always come back to it, and you can always do a small print run and then do a second edit, like do a reprint of it where you've changed a couple of words or fixed a couple of things here and there. But it's more important to be out there and have other people playing.
Yeah, I like that. I had a friend I sent the pitch. I made myself sit down and write a articulate 1-page. This is what this is supposed to be, instead of having 30 text documents of ideas and half stories. And I was like, and I sent it to him. I had a pretty good response, but one of the things he said was far too many apostrophes. Most people don't know what an apostrophe is anymore. You have one almost every other sentence. I was like, yeah, that's fair. Just little things like that you don't even think of. You just typing away and then
right, exactly. But I mean, all that gets remedied in the editing phase, right?
Yeah. Is there anything else from the press release or about the Kickstarter in general you want to touch on?
It'll be going through February 17th. It launches January 24th. We have some really fun stretch goals worked in, but who knows if we'll hit those or not. I'm very excited to see who all comes out for it, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm excited to get this thing launched because running Kickstarters can be stressful. So it's nice to have it up and done and over.
Yeah, I have a question. I'm
Sure.
going to leave a pause in this just in case you want this edited out, because I'm just curious, because it's not on the press junket, but I just wanted to ask, because I know it was with the first one. Will you be doing any infinite dice sets with this one?
No, there will not be any dice, and I'm happy for that to go into the thing. One of the pieces of this campaign is we wanted to have it have a faster turnaround. Like
Okay.
one of the books has already gone into editing. The Space Cruisers book is almost about to go to editing, and the Space Raiders book needs to go to editing. I need to write like 2 more pages, but 2 of those 3 books are almost completely laid out with having to adjust things. I want the campaign to be over and to get to press within a month of the campaign being over and get it back to people. And dice manufacturing takes a long time.
Oh yeah, no. I've kickstarted several of Infinite Black stuff. I'm aware of how long that can take.
Yes, and so trying to and I want more Vast Grimm stuff coming to market. Like there's something coming soon after this. This is not a physical copy, but I got the audio copy today of a cassette. There's going to be a limited cassette adventure where you take the folded card out. One side's a map, the other side is the adventure. You can play the music, and it's like the background music, or digital download files for those of us that don't have cassette decks from the 80s and 90s.
Nice. I have a little bit of a tape collection behind me. I love cassette tapes. My old band put everything out on tape with a download code.
Awesome.
I always find it funny how we've gone from like cassette players and VHSs being the dirt cheapest thing you could find in a flea market to being like, this thing's worth $100 now. And I'm like, what?
Yep. I just got a boombox for Christmas so that I could because I got this 1996 van so that I could make it a Grimm mobile to take to conventions. And it had a tape deck in it. And so the tape deck, I was like, well, okay, it's got a tape deck. I need to make a tape adventure. And so that's what brought that along.
Nice. Yeah, I do a lot of like glitch art, VHS tape editing and stuff. The VHS, just the VHS player market right now is a little crazy. They're
that's interesting.
About $350 starting just for a VHS player now, VCR.
Wow. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. He told me that, and I was like, what the I remember you could just walk into a store and just be like, $5, give me.
Right. I'm sure the thrift stores near me probably still have a bunch of them.
Oh yeah. I contacted a bunch of my elder relatives. I was like, hey, you happen to have a VCR sitting around and you don't need any more?
Did you land any?
I think I did. So
fantastic.
Be able to get back to editing soon. This episode does come out the day before the Kickstarter goes live. Are there any stretch goals you might want to hint at?
Oh, sure. Well, since this is coming out the day before it goes live, if you back it in the first 48 hours, you get a exclusive Kickstarter Vast Grimm patch that will start your mission patch collection off just great. Some of the stretch goals are going to be digital stretch goals where I've got some generators in mind to make it faster and easier to get certain things made and be able to play quickly. We may have some guest adventures in the plans, and trying to think there's also, depending on how far we get, I've got other things that I've already started writing. So there could be more content, because since this is a content heavy campaign, I think we can give more, the better.
Yeah. Awesome. I love the generator idea. Anytime I can get some just like random tables made for me, that's my favorite.
I love the click of the button and just boom. Okay, you have what you need.
I do like the new trend nowadays of like role-playing companies having like functional websites that you can just easily make characters on and just boom. Right. I don't know shit about this game. Click.
I mean, you want people in and playing as fast as possible, right? Yeah. You don't need somebody reading the whole rule book. Get in and have a good experience, and then go back and spend time enjoying the book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And actually, one thing I wanted to ask about, you had mentioned that you have the Explorers League, which is kind of like your Patreon style group. I was looking at your website. It says it looks like you put out new content. So is that like new adventures or?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on what I'm feeling like working on each month, right? So this is stuff I work on outside of normal Vast Grimm stuff. Like for December, it was very Krampus movie influenced. I made like a weird space Krampus. There was like a gingerbread cookie monster. There was a weird Jack in the Box type monster. And there was like this magical artifact that kind of trapped you inside of essentially like a space type snow globe. Where kind of like in the Krampus movie. So it was like sometimes I do stuff that will never get published anywhere, but it's just fun and stuff that you can work into your games and your adventures. So
yeah, because it's based on another property. You can't.
right,
You gotta
exactly.
You're like, no, I'm giving this away for free. This is just fan weird content. Just have fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so that I have different tiers for that, from getting just the classes or creatures or NPCs to getting a location, to also getting the VTT stuff, to also then getting to be in a game. I run a game. I'm trying to do it every other month where I invite people of those tiers and be like, hey, can you play this night, this time? And we come and we play. And I have regulars that, now I'm getting to know as their friends, and they sometimes play the same characters. Sometimes they don't. So it's good.
That's really cool. I like that like continued update style.
And one of my favorite things about this, because I put it on our own website, is that once you are in there, once you're logged in, even if you don't have all of the PDFs that were part of it, you do have access to the online dashboard where there's like a drop-down menu for creatures, and all the creatures that have been published and all the ones that have not been published, you click on it and it has all their stats and all that stuff. So if you're running a game and you had this up in the background, like on a screen, if you were doing it digitally, you can easily search for creatures, NPCs, locations, and be able to have all that content at your fingertips.
That's really helpful.
Yeah, very much.
I don't sell that aspect of enough because I just don't think about it. But I've used it a number of times when I've run games. I'm like, oh, let me see, where's this where's the Astro Zombie, and just start typing it in and click it, and then there's all the information.
The party has decided to fuck around, and they are about to find out swiftly.
Yes, exactly.
Always good. It's definitely good when you can go, you're doing what? What now? Okay, yeah.
I love when the talking
then
goes
immediately.
long. Right, right.
Yeah, just like, instead of just being like, give me a second, I need to flip through some pages and get to, you just be like, all right, now this is coming at you. What? Yeah, no.
Yep,
these are the consequences of your actions.
The worst two things a DM can do are double check with you to make sure you said what you wanted to do, or just immediately start flipping through a book.
Mm-hmm.
Those are
I like being like, roll a D8, let me know what you get, or roll it a D12, and just out of nowhere, because that always sets people a little bit uneasy.
I love that the meme parlance has had John Cena's "Are you sure about that?" come back into the phrase, and I love when I run 7th Sea for my new players. I just give everybody common sense. Just look at them and go, "You probably don't want to do that. That's probably a really really fucking bad idea. You're in fantasy Germany now, and monsters exist, and they're out at night. The locals told you not to go outside for a fucking reason.
Nice.
But you can keep doing it if you want. They're not going to stop you.
No, they don't care if you die.
Yeah, they're just going to be like, oh, look, bar's back. Good."
I think one of my favorites I picked up from one of our other hosts, John, is whenever you have someone roll like sneak check or anything like that, you think you're being really quiet.
You're right.
No matter what they roll, just like, yeah, you think you're being really quiet.
You're
going to be confident in what you do.
Yeah.
I like that.
I have noticed that parlance, and it's very good. It's very good. Just you're pretty sure you're okay. Not 100%, but you should be.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
So this is going to go live on the 24th at 8 a.m. Central Time. We'll post links and all that to there, but where else can people find you online?
So you can find stuff at vastgrimm.com. There's 2 M's in the Grimm. You can find me personally if you're on Twitter, at the Brian Colin. That's 1 L, Colin, and Brian with an I, because the Y's are evil. That's probably and also Vast Grimm has a Twitter, though it's not super. We don't have a lot of followers, and that's me as well, pretending to be the monsters. Those are probably the best places to track me down. And if you want everything Vast Grimm, you can go to Linktree, linktr.ee/Vast Grimm.
Excellent. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you taking the time to speak with us.
Thank
Yeah,
you
it was
both for
good having
having me. Yeah, it's good to get to hang out, and it's thank you for bearing with the previous campaign and for being totally being into it, James. I really appreciate it.
That again, that was not your fault.
Yes,
I
this will
swear,
be easy.
Well, yeah, thanks again. If you like what we've been talking about, you can check out vastgrim.com, and we'll have a link for the Kickstarter where you can get all these cool books, patches, and whatnot on there.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks. Have a good evening.
Thank you.